has it for in case of litigation where you need to sort of be able to share some personal files. And that's the extent of paperlessness that's happened, and it's fantastic to see that. Exit process. Not all companies have really gone and done too much on the exit process, but a couple of them have actually got this as their best practice, and it's wonderful to see. They have testimonials from employees who have left the organization, not one, not two, but in hundreds, where people have said, it is 2 months since I left the company. The experience that I had in HR transactions in my earlier company is something that I miss dearly. And the process in which the exit was managed is actually making people come back. And in this organization, the number of people who are coming back to join the organization has suddenly gone up. They're probably realizing that the value that the company places on the employee, even when that individual is exiting, it tells a story. It's not about you being my employee and therefore I'm going to give you greater attention, but even when you're leaving, I want to ensure that my standards are not going to be lowered. And that gives a very different feel, and they're really seeing the benefit in people coming back into the organization. In terms of measurement, yesterday we heard from Schneider in terms of the measures that they're doing in terms of seeing as to how the service is being experienced. I came across this particular phrase, net satisfaction score. I've heard of satisfaction surveys and I've heard of satisfaction scores. But when I heard this net satisfaction score, I was a little intrigued. And I asked them, what is it that you're talking about? And I just got you an example here. Some of you may already know this, but I said I must share this with you. There's a 5-point rating scale and people have different scores. Take, for example, excellent. 21 people have given excellent, 15 have given 4, 8 people have given average rating, and 6 have given 2, and nobody has given poor. Okay, so 50 respondents. Normally we would say 4s and 5s, 36 people have given 4s and 5s. It's a 72% satisfaction. And that's how most organizations measure their satisfaction scores. In the net satisfaction score, what they do is they knock off the 1 and 2 scores from the 4 and 5 scores. They say that if we have got 1 and 2, it's actually got to take away from the 4s and 5s you have got. And the 3 is par for the course, don't even talk about it. And therefore here, the way they measure their net satisfaction score is at 60%. And HR shared services in this organization, over a 4-year period, shifted from 34% to 85% net satisfaction scores, which means that the number of people who are in the 4 and 5 end of shared services, it's a measure of the shared services satisfaction. That's the kind of shift that they've seen in that organization. When you outsource, you pay money for transactions. And call centers, the number of people you put on the call center costs money. And the more number of people who call the call center means more transactions, and it means more money. And therefore, one of the measures is how can we ensure call center utilization comes down, but still satisfaction remains high. It's therefore creating greater version 2 and version 3 of FAQs, version 2 and version 3 of templates as people use services, that there is really no need for you to call somebody for a query. Queries are eliminated by ensuring the process is query free. It's very, very intuitive. And that's a big shift in that organization. The HR shared service runs an immersion program for all of HR inductees. Every new HR person who comes into this organization goes for an immersion program to the shared service. It's an in-house shared service. They go there for a 1-week immersion, and they understand exactly how the shared service addresses various needs. And therefore, when they're out there, either as a COE or as a business partner, they know exactly who they need to contact and how the expectations have to be managed, because they know exactly how the shared service works. And this immersion is right up front, and there is continuous training calendar for people to come and get refreshed in terms of advanced exposure to shared services. And the rotation of HR people through shared service management and COE and HRBP happens. They don't rotate people into the shared services operations, but they bring in people into the HR shared services management. And that's where HR people move around in this organization. End-to-end RPO. Quite a few companies that I visited have adopted end-to-end RPO, eliminating the need for placement agencies. And they in fact said the costs, our budgets for placement agencies was huge. The HR shared services was an investment that the company was shuddering to think about. We made it almost cost neutral. The amount of money that we have saved in the fees that we used to pay for placement agencies, which we don't pay any longer, more or less matches what we are paying to the shared service providers. The entire investment in terms of the shared service transformation. And I told you about the cost arbitrage being an issue in Indian context, but organizations are now pushing the boundary. The HR shared services is piloting rural and semi-urban BPOs where attrition is lower, the cost for operators is more reasonable, and there is a cost arbitrage between in-house HR and outsourced HR. So that's the next shift that's being pushed. We've been looking last 1.5 days in terms of moving from efficiency to experience. And in my mind, experience is a function of a few things. Efficiency is an internal focus of how can we do this better than what we have been doing thus far. And that's an important input into experience. Because if you shift from where you are to a different, better place, the experience is bound to be positive. Then comes effectiveness. It's about what are we attempting to do, and by improving the efficiency, are we actually meeting that need which we set out to meet. And this is in some ways about being focused on the need focused. And then comes the expectations. People have expectations, and the expectation is not necessarily based on what it is today. Expectations could also be a wish list and a dream which is picked from outside. And when you understand that expectation and you attempt to meet that expectation and do indeed meet that expectation, the experience is a delightful experience. And none of these things is a one-off event. There needs to be a continuous engagement with where are we, where do we want to go, what is the need and how do we serve that, what is the changing expectations and how do we keep exceeding that. And that continuous engagement is what makes experience truly a world-class one. And to my mind, a lot of organizations are still stuck in the efficiency thing about can I get it better than where I am today. There are lots of people who are at about saying that, no, I want to be best in class and therefore there is a need and therefore work on the effectiveness so that the results are aligned. Very few people are really asking for what is your expectation, and I'm wanting to sort of figure that. And I didn't find anybody who is on this continuously changing expectation mapping. We are probably far away from that, but that's where we need to go if you're really talking about moving from efficiency to experience.